Don't forget to like and subscribe!
So, if I also stay and help... that still sounds kinda scary.
Let's just observe the situation first.
Okay then. I'm counting on you.
See what's happening. Even though we know there's a third iteration of this, but you know.
I have to teach students from Haravatat, or owe Ksharawar a favor. It strikes me that they might be even less happy about such a deal than I am.
I think I can sympathize with them.
We're back, Madame Faruzon. The Traveler said that she can stay and help you.
Oh, why I couldn't ask for more. In fact, I'm rather curious about the type of person the Traveler is. You were the one who taught Azara a lesson after all. That said, will I be troubling you?
Oh, I'm not. It's no trouble at all.
That's so. Good. It does so happen that I do have something I need help with. Now, should I apply to teach a course with Haravatat, or join the collaborative project that Ksharawar is proposing?
Tell me more about the Haravatat
You
course.
might have heard of it before. Haravatat is an academic faction that researches languages and runes. 100 years ago, Madame Faruzon was a researcher from that darshan.
Yes, we know.
No, not was. Still am.
Yes, of course. But current Haravatat students can't really... understand her direction of research. So even if she opened a course, chances are that no one would attend.
What do you mean by direction of research?
In summary, I mean to interpret the configurations and solutions of ruin mechanisms via the deciphering of on-site stone carvings and unearthed documents. It'll include research into general documents dealing with such ancient machines.
The research method is supported by Haravatat, yes, but the content deals heavily with both ruins and mechanisms. This will make it difficult for students of this darshan because they don't understand much about mechanisms.
Well, they better start learning.
Also, there are fewer and fewer unexplored ruins left nowadays, and Ksharawar researchers have been developing their own theories on mechanisms. As such, they don't need to rely on ancient documents.
So this subject is what you might call a sunset industry, so she's doing very niche research.
They're far too complacent. Ancient mechanisms are more dangerous and complex than one might imagine. I'm telling you, things weren't like this 100 years ago. All researchers back then were interested in exploring knowledge from a variety of topics. They also gave more respect to unknown mechanisms. Nowadays, all people are interested in are mainstream subjects in popular research. Even if they attended my course, I wouldn't be interested in teaching them.
Gotcha.
Also, the people here think that my research is outdated and unrealistic, so they keep cutting my funding.
Outdated, I can understand, but what do you mean unrealistic?
Why, I think they could all stand to learn from Kale. She's a hard-working child and respects her elders.
Huh? Why me?
If only those who came
Kale
to
is
my
gonna
lectures
drag
were
you into
more
it.
like you. Speaking of which, are you feeling better? You don't have to confine yourself to Gandharvaville anymore, right?
I just remembered that I have a lot of studying to do. I need to head back and find Master.
Wait, I have an idea. Kale needs to learn how to read, and you need to teach a course. Kale knows how to read, she just struggles with it.
Are you telling me to start a reading course for Kale?
Huh?
Wait. Although Tainari has academic dealings with the academia, he isn't considered part of it. This means that Kale isn't technically a student.
Does she have to hold this class in the academia? Can it be a public course?
No, she's right. The old academia became consumed by their arrogance precisely because they ignored the public. There must surely be many people like Kale and Sumeru who are passionate about learning, but cannot study due to various reasons.
I find that hard to believe. I'm pretty sure it's only Kale that needs help.
The old academia paid no heed to them. But if I start a reading course for Kale as a pilot, perhaps this shall come to benefit many more people in the future.
Well, maybe some people from the desert, because I know they have a hard time getting, like, learning books and stuff. So maybe them?
I'll need to go back and ask if this is in accordance with regulations.
But I'm pretty sure it's just
Oh,
Kale.
save yourself the extra trouble. I'll come with you. If there's any arguments to be had, we shall sweep them aside together. Traveler, Kale, do wait for us a little while outside the academia. I'll be back in just a moment.
Wait! Let's catch up with her.
I like how Kale has no choice.
I can't believe she rushed right in after we arrived. She's really headstrong. Oh, how did things turn out like this?
Did I end up giving her a bad idea? You seem quite scared.
No, not really. Madame Faruzon is a brilliant scholar. Even Master thinks so. If she's really going to teach me how to read, it'll definitely be much better than me bashing my head against the wall.
Is Tainari, like, not helping you? Like,
It's just that she can get a bit too passionate sometimes. I don't know how to handle that.
the way she treats you is completely different from how she treats researchers. True, she seems kinda more relaxed.
Maybe it's
With
because
Kale.
she wants to take me in as a student?
Or maybe you have the characteristics that she's looking for.
It's just like that researcher said. The academia has completely changed during the 100 years that Faruzon was gone. I don't really get it, but it does seem like Haravitat's students aren't optimistic about the prospects of doing research with her. Students who are interested in mechanisms and applications of the elements generally enroll in Kasharawar and Spontamod. Madame Faruzon also refuses to accept random students just to make up numbers. She still hasn't found a student she likes, even after all this time back.
So she's a teacher with no students.
But she seems to like my attitude toward learning, so she often asks me if I'm willing to become her student.
That's what I'm saying about you have the characteristics that she
It's
wants.
because I'm a slow learner that I have no choice but to stay up late and study. Whenever she compliments me, I feel really guilty.
So you're scared of her because she keeps asking you to become her student.
It's not that. Madame Faruzon respects my choices. She hasn't been trying to persuade me, especially since she knows I need to rest and recuperate. She sometimes brings food to Gandharvaville for me, and each time she says that Master can't find out.
That sounds adorable. That sounds like something a grandmother might do for her granddaughter.
Now that you mention it, it does feel a bit like that. Do I really look that young?
Kale, aren't you like 15? Like canonically?
Kale, Traveler, thank you for waiting. The issue has been resolved.
That was
I
fast.
argued with the higher-ups and convinced them of the practicality and necessity of educating the general public. If I'm not mistaken, they're the students of my classmates' students. They're a lot less forceful than their predecessors, though. I'd say they caved rather quickly.
Amazing.
Were they convinced or were they coerced? I'm gonna say coerced.
It's just that we need to
That's
fill in
my
every
guess.
single page of the application. It's been a century, but the academia is as picky as ever. Let's see now. What do we need to fill in? Course name, learning objectives, teaching methods, course materials. I suppose we can fill in the course name last.
Our learning objective is to teach people to read, right?
That's a bit too general, I'd say. After all, this class's target audience isn't toddlers or children, but rather people who already know the basics of reading. As such, we'll need a more specific learning objective. How about proficiency in reading and writing?
That's true. If we use children's teaching materials, we'll only end up wasting a lot of time on things that students would already know.
And you have your job as a forest ranger, Kale. People who attend this course in the future are also likely to have life commitments. We need more effective teaching methods.
So other than teaching materials for children, what other learning methods does Kale use?
Master always tells me that practice is the best way to learn. That's why I often ask him to help me find simple books to read.
It must have been difficult to get books in Sumeru in recent years, no? Tainari really went the extra mile for you. Expanding literacy is a capital notion. Now that the academia is easing restrictions on the circulation of books, there should be more people who have become interested in reading. It's a great time to conduct this course.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like, a lot of people might have trouble reading because they couldn't get the books because academia is an asshole until we, fix that. So we got teaching methods sorted out. How do we choose our course materials?
So that's next on the list. I fear that I'm at a loss as to which books youngsters like nowadays. Would The Legend of Antara be too old of a story?
If even a centurion like you finds the tale old, how old is that story exactly?
Fair. Kale, what have you been reading lately?
Me? I've been reading light novels from Inazuma.
True!
Ever since we were allowed to sell books in Sumeru again, some people set up stalls at Treasure Street to sell light novels. I've been meaning to go there and check it out.
Yeah, and she finds some of it cringe.
Light novels? This is my first
Actual
time hearing
line
about
of
such a
hers,
thing,
by the way.
but I doubt I will procure suitable teaching materials from the House of Dana. Treasure Street it is.
Wait for us, Madame Faruzon.
Damn, she's fast.
You wouldn't think someone as fast as her is over 100. Let's pick up the pace and catch up to her.
Where are we going? Just down? Okay.
What a long and mildly ungrammatical title. And why is the cover so colorful?
Oh yeah, this is the first time her seeing a light novel.
Is this your first time seeing a light novel, ma'am? Oh, they're the most popular of books nowadays. Would you like me to recommend something?
Fine. One shouldn't judge a book by its cover after all. Maybe browse through the books here.
Are they gonna reference a Fish's book or like what is it? An isekai where the main protagonist turns into A, which would be fucking hilarious.
Of course. Why don't you try this one? It's Outlander Brigade, when the wind
okay.
of death blew towards the blonde samurai.
I heard that this book's author describes action in vivid detail.
Now I've only skimmed through a few pages, but it feels like it's all fight scenes. There are only subjects and predicates, and the syntax is a tad simple.
Subjects? Predicates?
The protagonist just ends up fighting in every scene with no proper build-up. Will anyone even enjoy a story that's only comprised of fights?
There might be people out there who will. It's for readers who don't care about plot. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you still need something to bridge between each fight.
How about... the good thing about being reincarnated as a hilly churl is that I only need to eat Sunsetias to become stronger.
I've heard of this one before.
A reincarnation isekai story? Those are pretty popular right now.
I never would imagine hearing Kale saying isekai. That's all I'm gonna say.
Isekai? What in the world is that? Also, why does it become stronger by eating Sunsetias?
Those are all what we call tropes.
Tropes?
Yes.
Those fictional rules used to push the plot forward, yes? They're definitely effective in achieving a distancing effect.
Sorry. What is this distancing effect?
However, this book doesn't explain how reincarnation correlates to becoming stronger. Such an illogical rule will affect the coherence of the story. Will readers really accept this?
There might be people who will. It's for readers who don't care much for logic. I mean, yeah.
How about this? I had to fight tooth and nail to get this in stock.
Oh, that's the latest
Okay, let's
volume
hear
of
it.
Onibudo.
Now that's a rather normal title length. Oh, Kale, do you like this series?
Normal title length, true. It's not like a paragraph.
Yes, but I don't like it that much.
She's a liar. She clearly recognized it at the latest volume, with a single glance.
Madam, are you going to use this series as teaching material?
Let me see. The dialogue flows quite well, but there are too many phrases here that I don't recognize. Third eye of perception, illusory mirror, and so on. Are these terms that are tied to tropes?
I also thought those names were strange when I was reading them.
Wait, isn't this book with the hold on. The third eye perception and the illusionary mirror sounds familiar. Isn't that the commission in Inazuma? Where you have to talk to the editor and the writer to make him find inspiration or whatever. She was able to say those phrases in such a serious tone. I guess that's your language research from her.
It's impossible to derive the meaning of these phrases in isolation. Also, their morphological properties are quite pedestrian, really. Or did the protagonist purposely create these strange names to disorient their foes?
I think it's because such names are cool. I'm gonna say
So
cool.
there's no deeper purpose. It's quite hard to understand stories written these days.
You're right. It's such a weird book. But you keep wanting to read the next page.
Even the most popular book in Sumeru back then had greater depth than anything written today.
The most popular book back
Yes.
then?
A Bahumano researcher wrote it while researching folk legends. The plot had many twists. The world building was fantastic, and even the writing could withstand scrutiny. When it was still being published, many people in the academia were reading it. Even the sages back then all described the story as a timeless classic. The series must have concluded after so many years, right? Perhaps it's even more popular now.
Is there a book like that in Sumeru? I've
I
never
guess.
heard of such a thing before. What's the title?
It's called Tales of Shariar. Do you sell it here?
Tales of Shariar.
Tales of Shariar? I don't think I've heard of that before. When was it published?
About 100 years ago.
100 years ago? Are you pulling my leg? What sort of book can remain popular for 100 years?
That's a good point.
The legend of Antara is popular to this very day, isn't it? I just heard someone telling it a few days ago in a cafe. If an old story like that is still being shared, then Tales of Shariar must be even more popular.
Even if that is the case, I really don't carry that book here in my store.
What? Is that because of the academia's strict control over books in recent years?
I think it's because it's not a light novel.
I can't believe they've allowed the people of Sumeru to become so uncivilized. How can they not know about the Tales of Shariar?
Tales of Shariar? Oh, wait. I think I heard an antique seller on the other end of Treasure Street mention that name before. I mean, it is a book from 100 years ago. Why don't you try asking for it there?
Tales of Shariar is considered an antique now?
I mean, if it's
How could
100 years
academia
old,
have let
yes.
such an excellent work of literature be forgotten like this? Traveler, Kale, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Let's meet at the antique sellers.
Madam, wait! Oh no, this is bad.
What's wrong?
You asked me why I'm scared of Madame Faruzon, right? It's not because I don't know how to respond to her kindness. It's because I'm afraid of that ancient language she researches, because I can barely understand any of it. What if she uses ancient texts as teaching material?
That book's only 100 years old, Kale. I doubt that this counts as book written in an ancient language.
Even so, what if researchers from 100 years ago like to use ancient languages in their books? We've got to catch up to her!
Alright, jeez.
Found it! The 5th volume of Tales of Shariar.
Wow, you actually found it!
I never thought this book would ever get sold.
All right, that's our teaching material secured. We also now know what to call this course. Analysis of Classical Texts. After all, this book is definitely worthy of being called a classic.
Can I take a look?
Oh, okay, let's see it.
Luckily, the language being used here isn't ancient at all. I can recognize a few words here and there. Huh? But why aren't there pictures in this book?
Because it's not a light novel or a manga.
As
That's
long as the
why.
writing is good, readers won't need any illustrations to imagine the scenes.
It's your typical book, Kale.
Worry not. I shall thoroughly explain the difficult sections. You'll like this book. I know it. After all this time, I wonder if Aaliyah and Aziz ended up together. And who obtained the desert gem in the end? Sir,
Well,
do you have the
spoilers,
subsequent
careful.
volumes of this series?
I don't think so.
Is that so? And here I thought I could finally read the ending. Never mind, I'll keep searching for the later volumes myself. If I'm to use it as a teaching material, it's better to start earlier in the series. Where are the first 4 volumes? Why aren't they all together?
I don't have those either. Actually, this is the only volume I have.
Is this series really that popular?
Wait, what?
No.
Oh, yeah, I don't
it's
think
not
it's that,
popular
yeah.
at all. Rather, there's absolutely no,
No demand,
for
yeah.
it.
Okay, that makes
No
sense.
demand? Impossible. Back then, I'd come across at least 3 groups of people talking about it during a single stroll at the academia.
Seriously? No one told me that this book was anything special when I first got it.
Where did you get this from? Can you still contact the seller?
I'm afraid not. This book was sold together with a whole bunch of antique furniture. I didn't even notice it initially.
That's fair.
Otherwise, the Matra would have come knocking. Wait, is this book actually worth a lot? It can't be, right?
It doesn't look valuable.
That's impossible. No matter how strict the academia was, there's no way Tales of Shariar could have fallen into such a state.
I do remember a passerby skimming through the book a few days ago. However, he simply sighed and left.
He sighed? Why would he react like that?
Oh my
Given the
goodness.
quality of Tales of Shariar, he should have been entranced after a single glance. I'm sorry. Traveler, Kale, please give me a moment. I'd like to look through this book first.
Quickly flips through the pages.
Why is there another misunderstanding between Ali and Aziz? Also, why is there no mention of the Desert Gem at all? And a new character is introduced with no foreshadowing at all? Also, what are all these new names and terms?
Wait, what?
Is this really the Tales of Shariar I know?
I don't... Probably not. It doesn't sound like it.
Well, that passerby reacted in much the same way.
Who was the passerby in any case?
It's Mada from the cafe over there. You know, the fellow who spends all day telling the legend of Antara. Since that's also a very old story, maybe he knows a thing or two about that, Tales of, whatever it's called.
Then let's go ask around at the cafe. Huh? Madame Faruzon?
Huh? Oh, yes. Let's go.
She sounds so defeated. Oh, I remember this guy.
Another day, another empty room.
Excuse me? But are you Mada?
Yes! Are you here to listen to my story?
Well, we actually came to ask about something else.
I see.
Sorry.
It's fine. I'm used to it, more or less. So, how can this terribly unpopular storyteller help you?
Do you know about Tales of Shariar?
Huh? Tales of Shariar? Why, I can barely remember the last time anyone talked about it. My master always talked about how incredibly popular that book used to be. However, I tried reciting a few chapters of it at the cafe, and I found that it's even less popular than the Legend of Antara.
Your master?
Yes, the one who taught me how to be a storyteller. He said that Tales of Shariar was written by his master's master's master.
Who's your master?
He also said that this great-great-grandmaster was an academia researcher, and that even the sages liked the series.
Okay.
He wrote 4 volumes back then, and the reviews just got better and better. You couldn't find a single person in Sumeru who hadn't read his books.
And then? What happened next? Why doesn't anyone know about Tales of Shariar now?
Oh, it's hard to tell when it comes to trends. One day everyone likes stories like that, and the next day their tastes change completely. Instead of writing a proper ending, this great-great-grandmaster kept trying to extend the story.
Oh, try to drag it on.
To
Gotcha.
tap into popular trends, he added a lot of tropes. Then, starting from the 5th volume, the reviews started to go downhill.
How could that be? Then what happened to Tales of Shahryar in the end?
In the end, there's no ending. The great
Okay, great.
Grandmaster tried to write a few more volumes, following whatever trends were popular at the time, but the trends kept changing right as he published his books. He got so infuriated that he stopped writing altogether and focused on his research instead.
What? So there's no ending? The readers didn't care?
I mean, if a story goes downhill after a while and just keeps getting worse, yes, they don't care.
By that time, only a very
Right.
small number of people were reading Tales of Shahryar. Anyway, my master probably exaggerated. How could a work possibly have been that popular? The only tangible thing my great-great-grandmaster left is the original draft of Legend of Antara. He also left behind many theses from his research phase. When my master talked about Legend of Antara, he'd even quote from those theses. My master is a much better storyteller than me. Even when we're telling the same story about Antara, he's always able to draw in a huge crowd. But even he won't recite Tales of Shahryar due to its ever-changing writing style and its lack of an ending.
That just sounds like a good idea.
So, Antara's story is the one that lasted through the years.
Well, not even sages can definitively ascertain the quality of something like a story. In the end, only time can separate the classics from the fads.
Only time?
Madame Faruzon?
It's been 100 years. Perhaps some things I once believed to be great aren't so after all.
You don't have to worry about that. Yeah, sure. The story's decline might not have been due to changing trends. It doesn't matter if it's a classic or a fad. What matters is that you liked it. Yeah, see, I agree.
Yeah! Master helped me find a lot of famous books at first, but in the end, I realized that I couldn't get into them. No matter how good those stories are, I can't improve my skills if I can't bring myself to read them in the first place.
That makes
I think
sense.
the best books for me are the ones I like.
The problem here is not actually about improving your reading skills, but I suppose the principle is the same.
Huh. Indeed. That is true. Readers' interest in trends of a time are not things that are so easily predicted. What was popular 100 years ago could be completely forgotten in modern times. And yet, 100 years, as far as history is concerned, is but a blink of an eye. If Tales of Shahryar hadn't chased after trends and instead stuck to its original style from start to finish, it might have stood some chance of gaining renewed popularity. No, even if that didn't happen, at least it would be a work that was true to itself.
Huh? Our conversation just got a lot more serious.
She's passionate, what can I say?
I don't really get what you're talking about, but it does sound sensible. Looks like I also have to hang in there and tell Antara's story well.
You should think about the present first. You should think about your income first.
How unseemly. I almost got carried away because of a single book. Well then, we should get back to the matter of our teaching material. It looks like we can't use Tales of Shahryar now.
How about the Legend of Antara?
No, it's much too old.
Oh.
Kale, you found a book that you liked at the bookstall, yes?
Yes, but I don't really...
Then we'll use that book as our teaching material. Now that I think about it, using a book that you like is the most suitable choice for teaching you how to read. As for the academia, as long as we come up with an appropriate course name, we should be able to get away with this.
I propose appreciation of popular literature. Perhaps analysis of popular literature might do the trick. Let's go with that one.
My, it sounds like you've dealt with the academia before. Let's go with that.
I mean, we kinda did, so...
Now then, let's return to the book vendor in a bit and buy the latest volume of this Onibudo for Kale. But if I wish to use it as teaching material, I have to read it first.
Huh?
You don't have to do that.
Speaking of which, other than third eye of perception and illusory mirror, I also espy some unfamiliar phrases from the reader's messages at the back of the book. Such things as, Even if it reminds me of my dark history, I still can't help but be drawn in by the story. And the author has written all the things that I only dare whisper into a tree hollow.
Oh man.
Why do people use dark history to refer to awkward or embarrassing memories? Is this some slang that was invented in the last century?
I mean, okay. The say it into a tree hollow, that's humorous, that because Kale actually done that. But dark history, yeah, that's, I mean, what she went through, I would say that's dark history.
If one of our learning objectives was researching linguistic changes over the past 100 years, it might make it easier to get these books approved as teaching material.
Oh, I can tell you what that's all about. Apparently, in their youth, some people used to imagine themselves as someone burdened by fate, fighting against the world, etc. But as they grew older, they started to become embarrassed by such memories. Some would write those fantasies into novels, while others would entrust such tales to tree hollows.
Mata? You know, I suddenly have the urge to hear a story about
I bet.
Antara.
That's funny. Kale, nobody knows your secret except the Traveler, okay?
Huh?
You don't have to make it
Why
obvious.
so suddenly?
I think we can ignore the whole dark history thing just for now. It's a good remnants. Yeah, let's just go with that one.
I knew it. There will always be people who love the golden oldies. Now, let me tell you all about the ancient hero, Antara.
Oh, they actually, oh. Tales of the past remain radiant even now. Sick. Alright, and real quick, since I have one more ending, let's just do that real fast. We're back with this ending, or this route.
Back.
Ah, how was your journey through the desert? Wait, where's Madame Faruzon?
Keep it a secret. Let's go with that. You tell everyone the partial truth.
So, Madame Faruzon has some other things to settle. Alright. And to think that Raid was doing all those things on the sly. It's good that you all got out of that situation in one piece.
Madame Faruzon will be able to repair Karkata when she gets back, won't she?
Yeah, I believe so. Currently, only Faruzon and I know about Tamimi. I should let Faruzon decide whether to tell the others about Tamimi. Wait until... You gotta be kidding me. Okay. Fine.
I'm back. What? Is there to be no welcoming party?
Madame Faruzon, we're over here.
That's more like it. Now, here are some components I brought back from the desert. Switch these out with the ones Karkata is using right now, and it'll be back in ship shape.
So this is a relic of an ancient civilization. Unbelievable. Thankfully, it didn't end up in Raid's unscrupulous hands.
Unscrupulous, huh? Sounds like you already told them what happened.
I told them about Raid. I told them about the team.
Is that so? Thank you. We will talk about everything else later. It's nothing. I've already given all the evidence we have against Raid to the Academia. They're going to be very busy. Too busy to bother us, I'd wager. I'll start repairing
good.
Karkata then. Kale, can you help me out?
Of course.
After some repairs, Karkata springs back to life. Oh, okay. Gotta be so close there.
It looks fine, but even so, it needs to properly rest up.
Faruzon went out after repairing Karkata. She seems to be looking for you for some reason. Well, I will not probe any further. However, if you need any help, do feel free to ask.
Alright, let's go talk to Faruzon. Wherever she's at.
Ah, you're here. Thank you for keeping Tamimi a secret.
You don't plan on telling them?
If I tell them about Tamimi, will they still feel happy for Karkata? even if we could convince them to accept the components, they'll probably still feel bad about it. I don't want my past to affect people in the present. That applies to both me and other people.
You don't have to shoulder all this alone. Maybe you'll feel better if you share it with the rest.
It's fine. I'm used to this. I once believed that I'd never hear from my old friends and family ever again. Even their faces are getting hazier in my memories. However, I could remember them clearly again after reading the letter Mimi handed to me and learning that they'd never given up on me. That's more than enough. I'd be disappointing them if I let myself fall into a slump because of this. Neither my teacher nor my mother would have wanted to see me like that. Besides,
True.
You're lending a listening ear to me now, aren't you? Oh, Pardeus DI looks pretty scenic at night. Will you take a stroll with me?
It would be my pleasure.
Once Karkata's condition stabilizes, I'll find a chance to tell Tainari and Kale about all that. But for now, just help me keep this secret.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Whether it's 100 years ago or now, I have people who worry about me. I suppose I should consider myself quite fortunate. The only time when I felt otherwise was when I had just returned to Sumeru. No one came to check up on me then.
Welcome home, Faruzon.
Yeah, I'm home.
Welcome back, Faruzon. Where once she was adrift on the sea of time, she has found her home shore once again. Alright, that's all the endings. To that one guy who voted on my poll forever ago. Told me to do it. This one's for you. Sorry it took me forever to get it done, but it's done. Until next time, shut up, Zhongli. Until next time, I'll see y'all later.